At daybreak over the Scioto River, the low murmur of traffic and the first light reveal a side of Columbus many rarely see. Beneath highway overpasses and along downtown's edges, canvas tents and sleeping bags tell quiet stories of hardship and grit. From faces marked by years of struggle to empty grocery carts along the sidewalks, homelessness here isn't a number or a distant headline. It's a daily reality for thousands. In a city known for its diverse neighborhoods and lively university life, these human moments highlight a deep gap between promise and support. As we move through Columbus's streets and meet people who have lost their homes, we begin to see the layers behind each name and every number. To understand the true scope of this crisis, we first need to look closely at the latest data, who is affected and where they find shelter. As of the annual point-in-time count in January 2024, Columbus and Greater Franklin County had 2,380 people experiencing homelessness on a given night. That marks a 1.8% rise from the year before. Small on paper, but a clear sign that efforts to bend the curve are running into headwind. Of those counted, 1,866 people found temporary shelter in emergency programs or transitional housing, while 514 were outside, under highways, in vacant buildings, or in makeshift encampments. Outreach teams and city staff say unsheltered numbers are edging up, especially when cold snaps push families back under bridges after shelters fill. If you were walking with us in classic travel documentary fashion, you'd see the city's bright murals and lively markets give way to blocks where sleeping bags line the sidewalks and fire pits glow against the winter dark. Volunteers in heavy coats, clipboards in hand, fan out from the short north to Linden, tallying tents and talking with residents. They report that single adults, many living with mental health challenges or addiction, make up roughly 2/3 of the total. Families are also on the rise. Households with children climbed about 5%, with parents juggling school drop-offs by day and waiting for a shelter bed by night. Winter stretches the system thin. Even with overflow sites and faith-run warming centers, demand often exceeds capacity. Many shelters set curfews or limit stays to fewer than 90 days. When time runs out, people return to the street. Transitional housing offers a bridge up to 6 months with a steadier roof, case management, and job training. But long wait lists and strict eligibility rules leave many families stuck on hold. These numbers ripple far beyond the nightly count. Local providers report record calls to crisis hotlines and heavy demand at food pantries. Public health leaders warned that long exposure to the cold, irregular meals, and disrupted medical care raise serious risks, especially for older adults and children who are more vulnerable to illness and injury. Columbus does not stand alone. In 2024, Cincinnati counted roughly 1,600 people and Cleveland about 3,000, placing Columbus in the middle among large Ohio metros. Yet the per capita rate here has crept up, reflecting broader statewide gaps in affordable housing and the social safety net. Some peer cities are seeing declines after major investment in rapid rehousing. Columbus's growth suggests similar tools may need to scale faster and farther. The pandemic left its mark. Federal rental aid kept thousands from eviction, but most of that help has ended. Emergency housing vouchers that stabilized families through 2023 are scheduled to sunset by the end of 2026, raising fears of new displacement. Landlords facing higher costs are less inclined to renew leases or extend grace periods, creating fresh instability for tenants on the edge. Among those outdoors, unaccompanied youth stand out. Estimates suggest around 100 people ages 18 to 24 are outside the traditional shelter network, couch surfing, sleeping in cars, or rotating through friends' places. Many lack family support and face higher hurdles qualifying for services billed for either single adults or families with children. The map is shifting too. Downtown and the University District once showed the highest visible need. Rising rents in the short north and Franklinton have pushed some people toward Hilltop and Whitehall. Outreach teams are documenting new encampments near cloverleaf on-ramps and public parks. As one area receives attention, the challenge often moves to neighborhoods less prepared to respond. Columbus's homelessness crisis springs from a web of economic, social, and policy pressures built up over years. At the center is a severe shortage of affordable homes. Vacancy rates for apartments under $800 a month have fallen below 3%, leaving working families, many spending over half their income on rent, with almost no room to breathe. As Midtown districts have changed, builders have favored higher-end condos and apartments. That leaves what advocates call the missing middle. People who earn too much for subsidies but too little for market rent, stuck without options. Local rules have made matters worse. Many neighborhoods allow only single-family houses on large lots, capping the number of homes that can be built. Ideas like inclusionary zoning, which would require a share of affordable units in new projects, have stalled over debates about property rights and tax revenue. Could more flexible land use open doors for duplexes, triplexes, and small walk-up apartments that fit a range of incomes? We may need to rethink long-held beliefs about neighborhood character. The economy isn't helping. Over the past 5 years, median household income in Franklin County rose less than 3% after inflation, while overall prices climbed more than 10%. Many service workers, baristas, home health aides, retail clerks piece together part-time shifts with unpredictable hours. That makes it hard to cover rent or set aside anything for emergencies. As one advocate said, when your paycheck hits mid-month and the rent is due tomorrow, every expense becomes a crisis. Pandemic-era emergency housing vouchers eased the pressure for a while, but are set to expire by the end of 2026. Those vouchers bridge the gap between what tenants could afford and market rents, but uncertainty about future funding has made some landlords hesitant to renew leases. As supports fade, many households face a steep cliff. Behind the numbers are deeper structural issues. Income inequality in the Columbus Metro ranks among the highest in the Midwest, and access to mental health and addiction care is uneven. People in crisis can get bounced from one provider to another without steady treatment. When care isn't coordinated, problems that could be managed become barriers that put housing at risk. Columbus's response is anchored by the Community Shelter Board, a partnership of 16 public, nonprofit, health, and faith groups. Built to boost efficiency and reduce overlap, the board serves as a central hub for funding, data, and oversight. Member agencies bring different strengths: youth outreach, veteran services, emergency shelter, but follow a shared strategy focused on prevention, shelter, and housing stability. Prevention is the first line of defense. Through community action partners, families and individuals on the brink of eviction can apply for rental, help, and utility assistance. Tenant legal clinics offer free representation for wrongful evictions or unsafe housing, solving problems before they spill onto the street. Acting early saves money compared with emergency shelter and helps keep families, schools, and neighborhoods intact. When someone is unsheltered, street outreach teams step in. Case managers carrying blankets, hygiene kits, and meal vouchers visit known encampments in high-traffic areas. They build trust, assess needs, and guide people toward shelter and services. Are there enough teams for today's spread-out encampments? Coverage has grown, but gaps remain, especially on the edges of the city, where resources are thin. Emergency shelters across the network can host up to 1,900 people a night. Beyond a bed, guests receive meals and on-site case management to identify the hurdles keeping them from housing. For many, shelter is the front door into coordinated care, counseling, medical referrals, job help. Transitional housing extends that support for several months, giving people time to stabilize and prepare to live on their own. Permanent supportive housing offers a lasting answer for those with complex needs. Funded largely by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, these homes pair affordable rent with on-site services. Staff help residents manage chronic health issues, continue mental health treatment, or address substance use. Studies show this approach lowers returns to homelessness and often costs less than cycling through shelters and ERs. Money comes from a blend of federal, state, and local sources. HUD's continuum of care funds rapid rehousing and permanent supportive housing, while state dollars bolster shelters and services. Seeing federal shifts ahead, the City of Columbus added extra funds in its 2025 budget to cover gaps as grants wind down, an early move to keep essential programs steady. Tying it all together is the coordinated entry system, a shared, data-driven intake. Whether someone calls a neighborhood office, walks into a shelter, or meets an outreach worker, they enter one registry. Case managers assess need using clear criteria: health, length of homelessness, family status, and match people to the best fit resource. This cuts duplication, puts the most urgent cases first, and gives leaders real-time insight into trends. Even so, challenges persist. Demand outpaces beds, creating wait lists and occasional turnaway. Frontline burnout and turnover disrupt care. New encampments appear faster than the system can respond. Stronger, more integrated funding and staffing will be needed to match the rising need. Around this formal network is a vibrant circle of volunteers, faith groups, and small nonprofits. They provide meals, clothing, and short-term jobs, host pop-up clinics, job fairs, and workshops. Together, these efforts add resilience and spark innovation, reminding us that broad, cross-sector teamwork is essential. With this foundation in place, the next step is to measure how government-led initiatives are performing and where they must go next. Columbus has moved on several fronts, at the ballot box and in City Hall, to bring more resources to the fight against homelessness. In 2019, voters approved a $150 million bond for affordable housing. 3 years later, they backed another $150 million, a clear call for action. Those dollars are funding mixed-income projects, rehabbing empty buildings, and seeding nonprofit developers. More than half of the first round has already been committed to projects breaking ground in South Linden and Franklinton, areas long overlooked for large-scale investment. These capital infusions matter, but they're only one piece of a larger puzzle. Adding to the toolbox, the City of Columbus updated its inclusionary zoning rules in early 2025. For the first time, any new residential project with 20 or more units must reserve at least 10% at below market rents. Developers can meet the requirement on-site or pay into a dedicated affordable housing fund. Skeptics worry the rule could slow construction. Supporters point to places like Minneapolis and Seattle, where similar policies produce thousands of affordable homes without stopping growth. The real test will be in the permits now moving forward, and whether these units reach the households that need them most. The state has stepped up as well. In late 2024, Ohio's governor signed a measure creating $50 million in low-interest loans for adaptive reuse, turning underused offices, schools, or hospitals into supportive housing. This program is built for speed, helping projects open within 12 months rather than waiting years for ground-up construction. Through this fund, a former office building on Cleveland Avenue is slated to become 120 permanent supportive apartments with on-site services and wraparound care. Meanwhile, Columbus City Council reshaped the 2025 operating budget to cover gaps created by expiring federal aid. With HUD's emergency housing vouchers set to sunset by the 31st of December 2026, council members set aside $5 million a year for local rental help and rapid rehousing subsidies. The move sparked debate. Some favored spending on roads or public safety, but the final vote recognized that stable housing underpins community health and security. Another major step is the Regional Housing Coalition, launched by Mayor Johnson in mid-2024. It brings together county and city leaders, nonprofits, philanthropy, and business partners to fast-track projects across city lines. Using targeted incentives, faster permitting, density bonuses, and coordinated site control, the coalition aims to add 2,000 affordable units to the pipeline by 2027. Early wins include a pilot with a national nonprofit to build modular homes on city-owned land, cutting both costs and timelines. Taken together, these government-led efforts show Columbus pulling multiple levers: public financing, zoning reform, state partnerships, and regional coordination to tackle homelessness at the roots. But lasting success will depend on steady political will, efficient execution, and real accountability to ensure promised homes and services appear on schedule. With the policy groundwork laid, the next step is clear. Look to nonprofit and neighborhood partners to extend and humanize the city's response. In Columbus, nonprofits and volunteer groups are the human face of the response, stepping in where government programs leave gaps. The Community Shelter Board, CSB, anchors the formal network, but dozens of smaller agencies and faith-based efforts add speed and local know-how. Groups like Faith Mission, Common Ground, and the Rebecca's Cafe Project run daily warming centers, drop-in hubs, and food lines, often staffed by volunteers who know people by name and story. Their work underscores a simple truth. Beyond buildings and budgets, homelessness is deeply personal. Many nonprofits here have launched programs now watched across the country. In early 2024, Direction Homeward rolled out a mobile outreach team using retrofitted vans to bring harm reduction supplies, quick mental health check-ins, and on-the-spot case management right to encampment. No appointment needed. Early data show this low-barrier approach boosts shelter entry by nearly 20%. The Partnership for Affordable Housing backed by grants from local employers like Nationwide Insurance and Cardinal Health, funds supportive services in permanent housing, covering bus passes, ride shares, and on-site childcare, so residents can stabilize and move forward. Volunteers multiply that impact. Each week, hundreds give time at warming centers, clothing closets, and community meals. Ohio State University students have built a rapid response corps that helps with intake, offers basic health screenings, and collects real-time data on new encampments. Their service eases staffing shortages and builds a culture of civic duty in the next generation. Faith communities, churches, mosques, synagogues host supply drives, raise funds, and open fellowship halls as emergency shelters during severe weather. Corporate partnerships add another gear. Franklin County has brokered agreements with employers to provide transitional jobs, apprenticeships, and direct hiring for people exiting homelessness. Goodwill Columbus offers retail and logistics roles with on-the-job coaching, while the Columbus Metropolitan Library created a staff training track that leads to library aid positions after a 6-week course. These pathways connect steady paychecks to stable housing and send positive ripples through the local economy. Even with this rich ecosystem, gaps remain. Smaller nonprofits face unpredictable fundraising cycles that can force cutbacks just as need spikes. Outreach teams often hit red tape when linking clients to government-funded services. Volunteer burnout is real. Expanding what works will take more than goodwill. It requires durable partnerships, steady funding, shared data, and clear goals. As these collaborations mature, the challenge is to turn smart pilots into solutions that last and scale. In the next section, we'll lay out practical recommendations and future directions that build on City Hall's initiatives and the momentum already coming from neighborhoods and nonprofits. Columbus is at a turning point in its fight against homelessness. Voter-backed bonds, updated zoning rules, and new state funding have built a real foundation for progress. Nonprofits and volunteers add the heart and flexibility, while corporate and civic partners are opening doors to jobs, healthcare, and stability. Still, gaps in the system and uncertain funding remind us that steady political will and fresh ideas are essential. If the city scales housing first, brings medical and counseling services on site, strengthens prevention, and leans on data-driven decision-making, it can quicken the pace toward ending homelessness. The moral truth is simple. Every person deserves a safe, stable place to live. With coordinated policy, active community support, and personal commitment, Columbus can turn challenges into chances and not only shelter its people, but lift them up